Hi, my name is David Hills and I'm Senior Director at Arc Workplace Risk. We're working to develop a series of short, informative videos on the key elements of the new Building Safety Regime, the Building Safety Act and associated legislation. This is our second video on safety cases and safety case reports. In the first video we looked at the differences between the two, as well as looking at what information is necessary in order to complete a safety case report. In this second video, we'll now be considering how the safety case reports can be written, who can write them, the importance of keeping them up to date, and consider what could go wrong if we do not get this right. Whilst the safety case is all of the information and the systems and arrangements that you have in place within your building considering both fire and structural risks, the safety case report is a narrative document that brings together and justifies the safety of the residents in your building. The safety case report is not just simply a list of all the information that makes up your safety case for that building, or just a copy of the fire risk assessment. The report provides a detailed summary of the information that you have gathered and assessed. It links and provides references to all of that detailed information and also explains how the information demonstrates that all reasonable steps have been taken, showing very clear links between the systems and measures you have in place and the identified risks. So, who can write a safety case report? As we discussed in our first video, your safety case report is going to detail, as part of the new regime, to both yourself and to the regulator that you have everything in control and that your building is safe. It will form one of the essential documents that you need to provide to the regulator when applying for a building assessment certificate, which will allow you to continue to occupy your building. Getting it right is vital, and it is therefore essential that this report is developed by a competent person, a person who understands not only the building, but how all of the various elements, the systems, the arrangements and the measures you have in place work together. The competence of the author and the systems you have and the approach adopted are therefore going to be key. The safety case report should communicate the necessary information in as simple and unambiguous way as possible. There is a common misconception that safety cases are huge, cumbersome and unwieldy documents, and that their quality is measured in volume. Look, safety case reports have to cover a lot, but they do not need to be too bureaucratic, too repetitive, or comprise of impenetrable detail and documentation. They should focus on the key elements and the need to justify what you have in place. And safety case reports are not new. Safety professionals have been writing these for years, albeit in different higher risk industries. Authors therefore need to have in place the right skills, the right knowledge, the right experience and behaviours in order to complete these for your building. And due to the diverse nature of the areas covered in the report, it is very likely that a safety case will be written by more than one person. And just as important, if the accountable person is not the author, then they should play an active role in the development of the report. Whoever writes the safety case report, it will be essential that they have and hold appropriate professional indemnity insurance that allows them to deliver such an important document. And our advice is that you should check to ensure that such insurance cover is held by those who help you. When applying for a building assessment certificate, fees are going to have to be paid to the regulator, and the regulator has made it clear that the fees payable will depend upon how much time they need to use when assessing the information you have provided. Therefore, a well-developed, good, structured safety case supported by good systems and based upon evidence is going to save you money. For example, the regulator has stated that they expect that a review of an application could take up to 78 hours to complete, and that they are going to charge around £163 an hour. That's £12,750. ensuring that a report that you provide is as simple and unambiguous as possible, whilst making sure that it is complete and delivers the required level of justification, is going to be key. It is going to be also vitally important that as an accountable person, you keep the safety case report up to date. The regulator has made it very clear that the process of writing a safety case report is not a one-off exercise, or should be considered to be an administrative hurdle and then left on a shelf to gather dust. They are expecting to see regular scheduled reviews, be that annually or biannually, of the safety case report, although other triggers may occur requiring your safety case to be reviewed. These triggers could include, for example, an incident or the identification of continued problems or system failures. That could include a fire or a structural collapse. It could include continued failure in equipment, or even significant dips in performance or consistent complaints from residents. Additional triggers could include, for example, changes to your building or to the residents, or even to key people involved. So refurbishments or changes to equipment or the introduction of a new accountable person would also trigger a review. Changes in legislation, guidance and standards are also triggers that need to be considered, and therefore you will need to have to make sure that your safety management system has in place arrangements to help you keep up to date with legislative changes. The review process should involve those who actually hold accountability, as this will ensure that the resources are made available when they are needed. You'll also need to make sure that any digital system or platform you use continues to be in line with any reviewed safety case report requirement, which may mean reviewing or updating multiple systems. Finally, where a change to a safety case report is made, then it is important to share those details or such changes not only to the regulator, but also to the local fire and rescue service and the residents themselves. As an accountable person responsible for the high-risk residential property, you can see that what we have discussed so far, that the Building Safety Act will require you to produce a document that clearly demonstrates that you have not only in place but also understood all of the different types of safety measures you have taken and are taking, but also the reasons you have taken these measures, how they work, how they interact with each other, and very importantly, that they are all performing at the right level and are effective. As an accountable person, therefore, having access to ongoing reporting on the effectiveness of all of these systems is vital. As the regulator has made it clear, you will need to show a good amount of awareness of all of the measures you have taken, the current condition, the performance, and how well they are being managed and maintained. Effective management, monitoring and reporting on your safety case is an essential element in the arsenal of the accountable person in meeting the requirements and intent of the Act. So what if we get this wrong? There are many new sanctions that are included within the Act that can be applied if things go wrong. These can include legal sanctions, such as up to a 2-year jail sentence and unlimited fines, or both. The loss of key personnel due to sentencing or disbarment. Your building, for example, being taken into special measures, meaning the loss of operation, the loss of management, and loss of financial control. You may even be forced to stop occupation of the building with the obvious costs of rehoming and compensating residents. But getting this wrong will also affect your reputation, the ability to attract investment, the ability to attract leaseholders, and of course, long-term loss of financial track record and holding an enforcement history. There is a widely held belief or hope by many owners, accountable persons, that managing agents can or will take on some, or if not all, of the accountability and responsibility for meeting the requirements of the Act, including developing and delivering both the safety case and the subsequent safety case report. Importantly, it should be noted that the Act is very clear and dispels that myth or hope. While an accountable person may ask a managing agent to help them write the safety case report, they cannot, however, pass on the accountability for delivering this report to anybody else. Now, this view is actually supported by comments made by the government within its consultation for the secondary legislation. They made it very clear that for the avoidance of doubt, if an accountable person appoints an agent to write the safety case report for them, but it is later found to be incorrect or not fit for purpose, it is the accountable person who commits the offence, not the agent. Managing agents, therefore, can be engaged to support accountable persons, but ultimately the accountability and the duty to meet the requirements of the Act and its secondary legislation sits firmly with the accountable person. So, how do we get started? Our tip will be to start this process off as quickly as possible once you take over responsibility as an accountable person. We would recommend that you engage the support you need and ensure that you have in place plans and arrangements to complete the safety case report, ready for when these are going to be needed. The regulator has made it very clear that once these documents are required, they will not give you much time to present them, around 28 days. Writing a safety case report will take time, and in the early stages of the Act's implementation, the number of competent resources being available is going to be limited. You should ensure that you fully understand what specific information you need for your building. We would recommend that you review, for example, what's required for that building, and that you have in place arrangements to capture, manage, maintain, and ensure that this information is available along with your safety management system. Including the right technology is going to be really vital to assist you. And you should also review your fire and general risk assessment processes, ensuring you consider the whole building and not just cover fire or the common areas. Thank you for listening. If you would like more information or see how ARC's Building Safety Assurance Service makes it easier to manage risk, compliance and safety at your building, then you can contact us using the details provided.